Hello again, or hello for the first time. This is a part 2 of the video that I did last time about how I self-taught myself steno to the point where I got my RPR. My name is Amy. Nice to see y'all. In my last video, I talked a lot about the high-level concepts of self-teaching and self-learning, and I didn't go into too much detail, so I thought I'd make another video that goes into a little bit more detail for people who maybe are trying to do the same thing that I did. Maybe you can get some inspo from this video on how you can make your own practice routine. This is what I'm going to talk about in this video. First, I'm going to talk about address any questions that I got since that last video. I'm gonna give a little personal update about what I'm up to in the steno world, and then I'm gonna talk a bit more about my practice routine at a high level and other concepts that I think really shaped the way that I look at self-learning, and things that I think would be really useful to know for somebody who's trying to self-teach or self-learn. Do those two words mean the same thing? Self-teach, I guess. Self-teach themselves anything. And then I want to do like a sort of time lapse maybe of what it actually looks like when I practice. So you can see from start to finish how, like, what sort of things I do, what sort of apps or websites I use, and you can get some ideas from that as well. Okay, so first of all, questions I got from my last video. Someone was curious about sort of my timeline for my steno progress, and I did not really keep track of my, like, words per minute in the way that a student traditionally would when you say, like, oh, I passed my 100 words per minute or whatever. It was more vibes based for me. Like, I kind of, if something felt like I'm keeping up at a good speed and I have the idea that I'm writing at around 100 words per minute in that time, that's my comfortable speed, then I know that I'm equally trying to push with faster speeds that feel fast, speeds that feel really, really fast, and also speeds that feel slow. So those concepts that you hear, practicing your push speed and your trail speed and your comfortable speed, I just kind of tried to equally balance all of those. And I didn't really keep track of where I was at any given moment. The kind of loose outline that I have is I started theory, so I started reading the textbooks that I found in March 2022, and then in March 2024 I remember I was trying to keep up with 140 and I was like almost there but not quite, because I went on a trip. I went to Australia, and I couldn't like practice, or well, I could practice, but I couldn't bring my steno machine with me, so I was like kind of practicing in my mind and in the air. And I was away from my actual machine for like a little more than 2 weeks. And then when I came back, I was like basically good with 140 words per minute. So it seems like it was 2 years from when I started to when I kind of got comfortable with 140. And then in November 2024, I got my RPR. So that was April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 8 months after that. So that's a general timeline for you if you're curious. What else? Yeah, and I think not keeping track of my speed in the way that people usually would also kind of worked to my advantage, because it was just like I didn't have any deadlines or timelines that I was trying to follow. I had the vague idea that usually it takes 2 years for someone to get through steno school, or that's what they say at least. So I kind of had that vague idea, but I wasn't holding myself to anything. What else? Oh, yes. And then the other question was about a typical written knowledge test question for the RPR. I can't say too many details because honestly, I don't quite remember even. And they say you're not supposed to divulge the content of the test. But I can tell you what I did to study. I did consider getting the purple books that they have, but I ended up just not because basically, if you go on the Encouraging Facebook or Encouraging Court Reported Students Facebook group and search in the search bar within the group WKT or Written Knowledge Test, there's lots of people talking about what they did to study and their tips and tricks. So I basically went through that whole group. I screenshot anything that I thought might be helpful, and I just learned whatever according to what people were saying in those comments. And there were flashcard sets on Quizlet, and of course I took whatever information from the Quizlet that I didn't already know, I made into my own physical flashcards as well. So that was really helpful. And my other general tips for the written knowledge test would be really think of it like there's a game when it comes to multiple choice tests. And the game is that you can the game is that you need to just get enough right answers to pass. So there's the threshold that you need to pass. So every decision that you make has to be very methodical and very thought out. So my tip for taking the written knowledge test is use the mark feature as much as you need to. Basically, if you're going through and you don't immediately know the answer to a question or you're flip-flopping between two answers, don't linger on it at all. Just mark it and then come back for later, because like in most multiple choice exams, and especially for the written knowledge test for the RPR, I think the other questions, the future questions that you see, really give you hints about the answers for the other ones, as well as like they might jog your memory if it is something that you studied and then maybe you're like just missing a little part of it, and then you'll see something in a future question that jogs your memory for something that you had to skip in the past. So I think when I did it, I probably skipped almost half of the questions my first pass through. And then I went back and after being helped by other questions or really using like deduction, like you can become a little detective and see like maybe I can find the answer to this question in a future question because it's all related material. So yeah, I think that really helps. Let's see. To give a little update about where I am with my steno journey at the moment. So I still haven't done a job or found someone to mentor me or anything like that yet. I'm in my now I'm just starting my second month of my first year of school. So I'm doing the English classes and the trial procedure classes. They're very fun. I'm enjoying them. And I'm still just working on my speed and now working on learning how to use Case Catalyst. I had to import my Plover dictionary and my other dictionaries into Case Catalyst, which is not really a seamless thing. It took a little while. If anyone else is wanting to do that and isn't sure how to proceed, hit me up because I did a lot of troubleshooting and trying to find the answers, and then finally I figured out how I could make it work. Though it is a little long and tedious, there's probably faster ways to do it, but if you're stuck with that and you want to do that, leave a comment or something and we'll get in touch. And so my idea is that once I'm kind of using Case Catalyst seamlessly, which is what people in the industry are using, where I am, then I can more confidently reach out to some more firms and some more people and be like, hey, I have my speeds and I use Case Catalyst. Can I learn how to be a captioner with you? That sort of thing. And I did get my CRC. Congrats to me. It took me 2 tries for the skills test because I was so nervous. I was a lot more nervous than I was for my RPR skills tests. And I think it's because there were stakes this time. Like, and I kind of, yeah. And because it was real time, for sure. Just knowing that, like, yeah, there's no editing at all. What you do is what you do, and that's it. So I was like, I really had to work through the shakes, and I got it on my 2nd try. So I'm excited about that. The other thing is that, so the future of court reporting as a profession where I live is kind of in up in the air. So I go to Nate, and Nate, if you're in Canada, you probably know there was like a big thing where Nate has paused a bunch of their programs, a lot of them really like highly sought after programs, one of them being the 2nd year of the court transcription and court reporting program, which is what you need in order to be like an actual court reporter. And in a way, it's like kind of good timing for me because, yeah, it's like not only am I in a weird situation, the situation got weirder, so it's got to be addressed somehow. But I'm not too worried about it personally because I know that I'll just find a way in the end. And I know that, like, our association, our provincial association, is behind us and knows that this is happening, so it's going to be dealt with. And I do feel bad for the people who were like altering the course of their lives to go into the 2nd year. I mean, I kind of was in a way too, but let's see. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I could get a firm to take me on or someone to take me on if I hustled a little bit harder. But yeah, I think I'll just wait until I'm really comfortable with Case Catalyst and then go from there. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so before we get into the actual time lapse of me practicing and my system for it, I'm going to talk a bit more about some high-level stenography learning concepts. So the first I want to talk about is speed of practice material. So if you split up the speed of your practice material into 3 categories, your trail speed, so let's say about 20 words per minute lower than what you're comfortable in, your comfortable speed, so the speed that you are like, okay, maybe there's some times where, like, if it's harder material, I'm slipping up a bit, but at least I could get something down. And then your push speed, so maybe like 20 or 40 words per minute faster. Like, sometimes I would listen to practice material like 40 words per minute faster than what I'm doing, and even actually try to keep up and dropping like 75% of it and just not worrying about that, but just to like train to see if I could get my fingers to move that fast and get my brain to move that fast. So, okay, so you split your practice material into those 3 categories. Within those 3 categories, there's also different ways to practice with each one. So if we talk about trail speed, So going slower than what you're comfortable with. Keep in mind, my goal has been to be real time from the start. So providing cart with punctuation and maybe even like not doing it all in capital letters like what you see in broadcast captioning stuff, but just doing it with the actual case, the actual uppercase and lowercase as it should be too. So in the trail speed, what I'm going for is I'm going for full real time with correct punctuation. And I'm monitoring my real time feed as it's happening. And I'm assessing it in the moment too, as if I was a consumer, to see for readability and comprehensibility, right? So I'm practicing in the trail speed with that, and also like identifying speakers and basically trying to have a perfect output, right? In the comfortable speed in the middle, I'm just trying to get something down for everything, maybe putting punctuation in where I can. And okay, as far as I know, too, this is very different from what they teach you in school, because in school, they're teaching you to do court reporting usually, which you're just trying to get something down for everything and you're not worrying about punctuation at all. My method is I'm training to be perfect real time. So in my comfortable speed, I'm trying to get something for everything, maybe even like replacing words or dropping filler words if the person is going too fast, just so that I can get a readable output, and adding in punctuation. Yeah. Well, okay, and then that's if I'm practicing for captioning. Sometimes too, I might go into the mode where I'm practicing for court reporting. So then I would follow the method that they usually teach you in school, where you're not worrying too much about punctuation. You're just trying to get something down for everything. That sort of thing. Okay, and then in push speeds, this is where it's interesting. So in push speeds, I'm listening to material that's 20 to 40 words per minute higher than what I'm comfortable with. One method I do, which is probably what I did the most when I was building my speed, is I want to get every word down, even if that means rewinding, right? So I'm listening to it, I'm holding on for dear life, I'm trying to do the best that I can. As soon as I drop a word or I make a mistake, my hands are off the steno machine, and then in my YouTube video, I'm just pressing my left arrow key a few times to rewind it back like 15-20 seconds, and then I'm going from where I dropped off, and like I'm going from a little bit before where I dropped off, and then I'm ending up with a lot of sentences that are like, overlap just at the parts where I dropped words. But the key for me is that I don't want there to be any space where there was a disconnect. Like, I want there to be, okay, I did this word, and I also, even though it took another try, I also did this word and this word, one after the other. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want there to be a break in the chain, even if that means rewinding until I can get, that part of the chain. And I found I was doing that a lot, especially when there's lists of things. So they'd be like, okay, in the backpack there was a pair of socks, a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and then so sometimes I'm rewinding as many times as there's items in the list, like, because it's going so fast I can't keep up. But I want to at least get that chain. Like, I want to be able to say that I did socks followed by a t-shirt, and then maybe I have to rewind again, and then I could at least do t-shirt followed by whatever else was in the list. So that's one way to practice your push speeds. Okay, the other way is to just, hang on for dear life and mostly try to have them, like, you're doing mostly mental training rather than finger dexterity training. You're training your brain to at least register every word. So I'm listening and I'm trying to keep up as much as possible, but sometimes if I drop, that's okay, as long as at least my brain was registering every word. And that I didn't do as much. So I did the rewind practice a lot, and then it would mean that like a 5-minute dictation might take 20 minutes. Like, it'll just completely inflate how long it takes to get through the take. But I think that really helped me in building speed. Okay, so that's different ways to practice different speeds of materials. Another thing I want to talk about is that progressing. Okay, so I take a really holistic approach to learning something like this, because you may have heard this, where when you're learning a skill like this, you're more so like you're an athlete. So you have to consider your body and your health and all the aspects of your life, and then that will help you progress. So progressing is not only just studying and practicing on your machine, it's also getting good sleep, eating good brain food, making sure mentally you're in a good place. So, and that's like, there's lots of things that I could address in that area. For me, like, being mentally healthy means like, so when I was like having a hard time at work and stuff, I went to therapy for a little bit, and that really helped me. And usually, like, I am a really emotional person too, so sometimes I just need to cry it out. Like, I have a playlist of videos on YouTube where that, like, the first one is like an American Idol audition where someone is dedicating a song to their best friend, and it's like really heartwarming. It's really touching, and it makes me cry every time. So sometimes you need a cry, and that's really good for your mental health. It can be really cleansing, and then, you cry it out, you take care of yourself, you take a nice hot bath or shower, and then you get a really good night's sleep, because that sleep after you cry is just, it's always so good. So those things are helping you progress, even though they're not just studying or practicing on your machine. That's part of the whole picture that helps your brain be in the best state that it can be to absorb new information and to build these neural connections. On that topic, using like neuroscience, your brain is really just a collection, a network of all of these synapses that fire off, and then the better they're connected, the faster one synapse is going to trigger another one, right? So if you think about that in the context of stenography, so you have word that's being spoken, that's an auditory input, that's connected to, okay, just language. So you have like the word and then the concept of that word. Maybe there's a picture of that word, but what we're really trying to build here is you've got the auditory input goes to the word. Maybe you see the text of the word in your mind, and that connects to a finger orientation, connects to a movement. And in the case of, like, say, phrases, sometimes those words trigger other words too. So what I'm getting at here is that just being aware of this, you can know that if you, say, hear the word dog, and right away, dog, and then you think about, okay, the steno outline for dog, and then you think about, okay, this is what my fingers would do if I had to write the word dog. Even just thinking about that is one rep strengthening that synapse, right? So the more that you are kind of integrating that thought into your daily life, and like you're looking around and see, and then you have your stenovision goggles on now all of a sudden, where like, okay, there's a cup, and then that connects to the steno outline for cup, and then that connects to your fingers movement for cup. That's already one rep of that being strengthened. So we're like surrounded by words and objects that are represented by words all the time. So every moment, if you are in that mindset, you can be strengthening your synapses even while you're not practicing. So, and on top of that, the way that you can increase the plasticity of your brain for that to be something that is really easy and natural for you, and that like your brain is actually kind of doing all of this in the background anyways, and that's where the strengthening of these synapses happen, is in all the background processes as well, and as well as while you're sleeping. So those are also really important. But like improving your neuroplasticity, I think there's lots of ways to do that, like just eating good brain food, doing cardio exercise, like doing exercise in general, and meditation, stuff like that. So yeah, to sum all that up, things that you don't think are studying that are actually studying: sleeping and relaxing, crying, eating a good meal, and or like having fun with good people.
All right, so let's get into the actual routine here. I made a little quick visual in Google Docs just so that it's easy to explain, but this is not something that I ever wrote down.
This is just kind of what I have in my head that I'm following, and it it might only make sense to me. But that's the important part, is if you're coming up with your own practice routine, it only has to make sense to you. But maybe you can get some ideas based off of mine. Like I said before, I kind of just made up the system of, I'm going to call it rounds and bites. So each of these lines is like one round comprised of little bites. And these little bites are of different types of practice, different hitting different areas. Like think of, if you work out at the gym, you're hitting different muscles with different, you're targeting different muscles with different exercises, and they're using different resources and different websites. And this is highly variable. I'm always switching stuff in and out of this when I deem that I've done something enough and I feel like quite comfortable with it. Then I need to seek out another challenge, and I need to switch it out with something that is going to work another muscle. So yeah, you have to really like eat your veggies, right? Like if you are doing something for a long time, like for example, because I want to do live captioning, I decided to do as many TED Talks as I could, and maybe do like every TED Talk. But I did quite a few of them, and then at some point it was getting easier. So I decided, okay, well, the TED Talks, I think I kind of get the idea now, so I have to find another source of practice. Okay, so just to explain this layout a bit more, I'm going in this order from left to right in the rounds. And each color here is its own practice type. And within these colors, I also have kind of a set sequence that I'm following, already predetermined, because I'm just going by, I want to 100% everything. I guess that's mostly applicable for typey type. I want to 100% typey type, all of typey type. So there's no questions as to what's coming next. So there's no decision paralysis. And I think it really helps with that kind of executive dysfunction if you don't have to think about what you're going to do next. Some examples of other things that I have swapped in and out of these spots is back in the day, I definitely was doing a lot more platinum steno. Now I'm very close to having done all of the platinum steno videos. I only have some of the live classes left, so I don't do as much platinum steno, but back in the day, this was like exclusively platinum steno in the orange category here. And then I also, as I was preparing for the RPR and also for the CRC, one of these was specifically real-time coach, because I was making use of real-time coach the weeks leading up to taking the test, which I think really helped because then I was really familiar with the platform before going into it. And when I was first starting out at the very, very beginning, this was mostly stuff from the Plover wiki. So they have like a suggested learning route, and then they have a bunch of resources listed on the page. I'm going to find that specific web page and then I'll link it in the description. So it was mostly like different web-based exercise tools. And also like this blue category here. So this is stuff that's off the computer. So it's my flashcards and I have my textbooks that I reference. And at one point too, I read or I heard on Encouraging Court Reporting Students Facebook group that it's good to go through your physical steno notes, or to, I guess, read your steno notes. So I like having physical things. So I printed out my steno notes and I did notations on them and stuff. So that's another thing I did. The other tools I have here that go along with this is actually, maybe before I get into that, I'm going to show you all how I represent this like physically on my computer too, which is another thing that helps, because each of these bytes here is like a tab in my web browser. So if we were to look at this other window I have, so what I do on a given day, because I really like YouTube, is I'll just like I'm going to switch over so you don't have to look at my YouTube recommended page. But anywho, I just make like a really long queue of YouTube videos, because in the day I'm mostly like, as I'm doing other stuff around the house or practicing steno, I do have YouTube going on in the background. So this YouTube tab is like my bookmark for where I am in this rounds and bytes system. Okay, so I have like my typey type, and I have my platinum steno or my YouTube tab next to it, and then I have my monkey type tab, and then I have my Senate of Canada recordings tab here. And so basically, when I wake up in the morning, I've got the YouTube going, and then I'll do some typey type, and once I've done it, then I'll pick this tab up and I'll move it past, so I know I've completed one byte of that. And then so I know my next thing to do is my YouTube. And that's really the beauty of this system too, is that between these bytes, I'm doing a lot of other stuff. I'm rarely sitting down and doing like a full round. Maybe I'll do 1 or 2 bytes in a row, because depending on what it is, a single byte might take between like 5 and 30 minutes, right? But it kind of like allows me to disperse my practice throughout the day, because I'm going away and I'm doing other stuff. And then when I come back, I know right away, okay, my next thing to do is this practice to this YouTube video. And then once I've done that, I'm going to pick my bookmark up and I'm going to move it to after that tab. So I know this is my next thing I'm going to do. I have even more specifics of like, oh, that's not yet. I have even more specifics of how I practice with these different tools as well, but I'm not going to bore you with that. Really, all that matters is that you find what works for you and just make a system for it, because then you don't have to think about it that much. Yeah, and in a given day, too, I'm not doing all of this. I'm realistically, because I'm quite busy and focused on other things at the moment, I'm probably not even finishing one round. I'm kind of maybe doing 2 or 3, but because I am on the computer a lot, my computer never goes to sleep. So maybe I'll finish the day like this, and then the next morning maybe I'll start with monkey type, you know? So I'm kind of equally going through each of my different types of practice. But like having a kind of never ending sequence is motivating for me, because like when I have to do tasks, or I have to do a ton of things, sometimes I'll just make a really, really long to do list, and I know I'm not going to finish everything on it, but just seeing that I have so much to do is like, oh, let's challenge myself, like see how much I can get done, right? So it's kind of that idea.
All right, so the last thing I'm going to show you all is this little just notepad running list that I keep. I love Notepad for everything. I love keeping lists of things. This I've been keeping since probably like my 3 months into learning steno, so it's been going for a really long time. There is if we go to there's right now currently, yeah, there's 9,741 words on this list. So this list is just a drop zone for any words that I encounter during dictations or practice that I want to make note of. And the really great thing about this is that it helps me keep my momentum in practice, because I'm not stopping to do any dictionary changes or like looking up words or anything like that. So everything goes into this list. Maybe words that I think I should have a brief for, words that, or words or phrases that I want to make a brief for, words that I know I have a brief for, but I can't remember it at the moment. So it's like a hesitation word. So it's a sign for me when I come across it again on this list that I have to review it. Words that are new to me that I'm like, oh, I haven't heard this word before. I don't know the definition of it. So I put it on here to as a sign for myself later to look up the definition and kind of add it to my vocabulary. So if I were to ever encounter it again in the future, it'd be a word that I recognize. Prefixes, suffixes, uh, yeah, yeah, all of those things. And I don't worry at all about whether I have duplicates on here or anything. This is just like I'm I'm adding it to the end of each, little practice type here. And then when I come to the blue category here, the flashcard stage, that's where I take the time to go through a few of the entries on that list. Yeah, it's a really helpful tip for me. And the way I mark it when I'm doing my dictations is like, because usually I'm also writing to Notepad, I used to do it where I would just do like 3 or 4 question marks in a row. And then afterwards, I would search, I would control F in the document to find those question marks. I've since defined oops oops to be like 3 question marks in a row to make it easy. Because also now that I'm learning how to use Case Catalyst, that's what I do in there. I can do a oops oops mark. And yeah, so that's that. So uh, I think I've said as much as I can and done my best at explaining without actually showing. So now I will show what it looks like when I practice.